You don't have a problem? You don't
That was
have
my reel. I
a
just
problem?
posted.
Don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. Do you just like think in TikToks now? I was having this conversation at work
Yes.
the other day. Or actually, no, it was last night with the girls, with my his cousins. There's just like sounds. Like someone will say something, and then I'll sing a TikTok song in my head, or make a TikTok sound in my head.
It happens. My daughter and I, my oldest daughter and I were just talking about this. I was like, TikTok is just living in my head rent free all the time.
All the time.
Like I found myself like I was doing something and I was like, wee. And I was like, you know what? I need to stop. I need to stop.
Do you know which one gets me all the time? I never knew how many times people say, oh no, until TikTok.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. All those sounds. You just can't get them out of your head. What do they call it? The earworm?
Yeah. They're in there.
All day, all night. Thanks, TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
All right. So, yeah. Welcome to another episode. I don't know why I'm like patting my mic. This is gonna sound great. You're gonna love that. You're gonna love that in editing. Or I'm like, ba-boom, ba-boom.
I'm gonna leave that one in. It's like you were trying to comfort the mic because we've been working these mics so hard this afternoon.
I know we've been very verbose.
Yes,
we're gonna talk about elitism today. Let me pull out all of my vocab words.
Yeah, let's do it. Ooh. I'm excited.
Some Chardonnay. We've got some fancy SAT words, and
I'm done with my latte, so I guess I'm gonna have some water.
You know what I didn't realize until like I think this year is that somewhere in something I either read or watched something that explained to me why the SATs are racist, and I was like, fuck, did we make anything in this country that isn't racist?
Survey says
no.
No.
So, like all the time, like somebody was like, this feels criminal. It kind of was.
Basically. So
anyway, that has nothing to do with today's episode.
Well, I don't know where it does it. I don't know.
So basically, we're gonna have another. Apparently, we've just been very chit chatty recently. We just kind of want to like chit chat about book stuff.
There's just a lot going on, right? We have a lot of stuff's happening, and it's all exciting, and
there is. And one of the things that I am loving is so YouTube seems to really like people doing lives. Lives seem to be like the thing now on YouTube.
Yes.
And there have been some really interesting live discussions happening in the booktube space. And there was one yesterday, as of the date of this recording, that was over on Happily Ever After HEA booktube. So that's Heather. And I think she did it in conjunction with Jessie from Bow Ties and Books. I always get that the wrong way around. Elle Brooks and Jess Owens. And the whole discussion was about elitism in the book community. And I was watching it as I was doing things yesterday, and there were a lot of really interesting questions that kind of came up in the discussion. And I kind of thought it would be fun to sort of just like chit chat generally about the bookish space under that umbrella, especially since one of the big things that came up in this talk was the discussion of versely, and then caveat to that, or addition corollary to that, do the algorithms of booktube and or whatever other social media platform you're on reward you for reading diversely? So, and since our whole ethos here, look at me, I'm pulling out all the words. Ethos here is to be people who promote reading diversely in every way, shape, or form. You can go back to one of our first ever episodes where we discussed what our goals are with TBR Lowdown, and especially the podcast, is to introduce people to as much variety in books as possible, because there is so much out there. And it's not just like reading queer books or reading books by Black authors. There's
well, hang on. Like don't get into it yet, because we got to give the people what we're reading right now. What we just finished.
So that's coming up. Naomi, what are you reading? You didn't let me do my segue. I was going to be all like fancy.
I'm sorry. You were going, and I was like, is she going? Did I do it to put on the brakes? I don't know. What's happening?
That's all right.
It is
a safe. It's a safe bet with me to pump the brakes, to say, like, Alyssa,
I wasn't sure.
Pump the brakes.
I wasn't sure.
So, no, we're good. We're good.
Well, I'm excited to have that conversation. Very excited to have that conversation. So, yeah.
And I would say we'll link the whole live. It's a very long live. So if it's something you guys want to invest in watching, go watch it. There's a lot that was discussed on it. And we are not here to, like, regurgitate it all. We're just kind of, like, jumping off of that and discussing things just amongst ourselves, because obviously we weren't in that discussion.
Yeah, but it also sounds like we're gonna be talking about things we talked about before.
Yeah, so it really felt like it fit into, like, our goals here, our mission statement, if you will.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So what are you reading? Reading?
I want to talk about another book that I finished, I think last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. Is this a debut as well? I'm not sure, but it's called Our American Friend by...
Oh, you liked that?
By Anna Petaniak. I feel like that's wrong. I'm sorry, Anna. So I got this from my library, and this was another one of my anticipated reads for 2022. And I'm just going to read the inside flap for a bit. It says, okay, tired of covering the grating dysfunction of Washington and the increasingly outrageous antics of President Henry Kane, White House correspondent Sophie Morse quits her job and plans to leave politics behind. But then she gets a call from the office of First Lady Laura Kane asking Sophie to come in for a private meeting. Sophie, like the rest of the world, knows little about Laura, only that she was born in Soviet Russia, raised in Paris, and worked as a model before moving to America and marrying the notoriously brash future president. When Laura asked Sophie to write her official biography to finally fill in the gaps of her history, Sophie's curiosity gets the better of her. She begins to spend more and more time in the White House, slowly developing a friendship with Laura, who, to Sophie's surprise, is entirely candid about her mysterious past. The First Lady spills all about her first and only true love and her father's work as an undercover KGB officer in Paris, and how he wasn't the only person in her family living a double life. Let me tell you something, guys and gals. I had so much fun reading this book. Like, it was a good time, okay? If you're all into, like, Russian spies, KGB, double agents and all that stuff, then you will really have a good time reading Our American Friend.
Emma needs to read that.
It was great. It was great. I really love Laura, the First Lady. I enjoyed Sophie, the journalist. It was just a really fun book. And you know what? It kind of felt cozy in a way. It felt kind of cozy.
I know.
Yeah, like, I was at work. Look, I had the book on my desk at work, listening to the audiobook. I was just like, this is one of those days. But I felt like I wanted to be home in my comfy chair with a blankie on while reading it. That's what I wanted to do.
You're just making me miss desk jobs, because we had a little parent. I told you about our recent staff meeting. That's like, people need to stop looking at their phones, and, like, no more headphones. And I'm like,
I'm sorry, no more headphones at work? The majority of my work day, when I actually go into the office. I
understand that you do, like, desk work, and I'm a nurse, but let me tell you the difference between, like, procedural and floor work is that if everything's going well in procedural, your time is being managed very differently. So, like, there may be moments where you could have a headphone in listening to an audiobook,
right.
Or sometimes it's 3 a.m. and you're doing an emergency and the patient is not trying to die. They're fine. They're stable. It's dark. You've had no sleep. You've just got some shit going in your one ear so that you don't go to bed while you're doing this.
Wow.
Because it's a very different, like, what I do is very different than, like, floor nursing or, like, running around and all this stuff. Yeah. So, like, I understand if you're, like, on the floor going patient to patient to patient to patient to patient, and you just, like, got headphones in, like, that's rude. But, like,
yeah,
if you're like doing a treatment and they're just like sitting there not trying to die, like everything's good.
Yeah.
I think I could sometimes look at a TikTok. Like,
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, when I actually go into
'cause
the
it's
office, I need
very
my headphones. It's
it
too
could
much
be very
going on.
boring if they're not trying to die on you.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm trying to drown out all the conversations in the office on my floor that I'm not a part of and I don't want to hear. It's so distracting, which is why
I
I
just
enjoy working in my house more than when I
I
go
don't
into the
I,
office.
I just don't like blanket rules because I just don't think they work.
Well, that too. Anyway, read Our American Friend. Also, the cover is
Yes.
just so retro and
It is cute.
oh,
I like it.
I love it. I love it. If I find this used somewhere, I'm definitely going to pick it up. I'd
Is
read
it
it again.
is it backlist?
No, it's a new. It's a new release.
Ooh, fun.
Hmm. So I'm
Well,
just not. I don't think it's a debut, or we'll say somewhere on here a debut. And it,
doesn't.
yeah, I don't know. I'm reading through. I don't know.
Well, I literally have no idea what to show you because I only have one book going. We've already discussed it. We can go back to it if you want. But what I'm going to start probably very soon, like tonight or tomorrow, is the Books of Jacob by Olga
Tokarczyk.
T. Kochik,
Tokarczyk.
whatever. And
I've been practicing.
well, in between our recordings, I have read like 6 pages of this manga. So I don't know which one you want me to talk about, but I'll tell you about both. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you about the Books of Jacob because I haven't started it yet, but we are very excited to read this. I like
Yes,
that
we
the
are.
pages count backwards. I actually think that's brilliant, and all
Oh,
books should do
okay.
that. Did you not know that?
No, I haven't looked at my. It's just in the box. I haven't actually looked at the book yet.
Oh yeah, so it starts like the page numbers start at like 800 and something, and then go down to 1.
Oh,
Love
okay. Like a
that.
little countdown.
I think that's fantastic. All books should be that way because you're always like, how many pages do I have left? Here, you're like 400.
Nice.
Love
Okay.
it. So this enormous book is in the mid 18th century as new ideas begin to sweep the continent. A young Jew of mysterious origins arrives in a village in Poland. Before long, he has changed not only his name, but his persona, visited by what seem to be ecstatic experiences. Jacob Frank casts a charismatic spell that attracts an increasingly fervent following. In the decade to come, Frank will traverse the Habsburg and Ottoman empires, throngs of disciples, not disciplines, disciples in his thrall as he reinvents himself again and again, converts to Islam and then Catholicism, is pilloried as a heretic and revered as the Messiah, and wreaks havoc on the conventional order, Jewish and Christian alike. With scandalous rumors of his sect's secret rituals and the spread of his increasingly iconoclastic beliefs. Books of Jacob is her masterpiece. Blah 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 blah. We're going to talk about how fantastic she is. Yes, so she writes the story of Frank through the perspectives of his counterparts, capturing Enlightenment Europe on the cusp of precipitous change, searching for certainty and longing for transcendence. So it's supposed to be phenomenal. We both have enjoyed her 2 other books that we've read, so this is getting started because the audio has arrived and it's huge. But then this is just a little first volume in a novel in a manga series that I have been having a very hard time finding the second one. There's literally 1 copy on Abe. It's very hard to find.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, certain volumes seem to be difficult to find, but it's called Siuli Run. I don't know. The Girl from the Other Side. It's cute.
Mm-hmm.
The artwork's cute. It's like a little, yeah, it's a younger manga. It says, once upon a time, in a land far away, there were 2 kingdoms. The outside, where twisted beasts roamed that could curse with a touch, and the inside, where humans lived in safety and peace. The girl and the beast should never have met, but when they do, a quiet fairy tale begins. This is the story of two people, one human, one inhuman, who linger in the hazy twilight that separates night from day. It just sounded like a nice
Okay.
little book. I bought it a little while ago, and I figured I would like to read it, but I really need to figure out how to get the next
The
volumes
other
because
one, yeah.
there's at least like 11 volumes, and they're not very long. This is the one thing I hate about mangas. They're not very long. They're
Mm-hmm.
terribly expensive, especially since they come from, overseas usually.
Yeah.
And it's just annoying because I can't find them. But when we're talking about elitism, let's talk about the fact that these things are ridiculously expensive. Ridiculously, right?
Wow. So what's the price on that?
So this is like $13, which isn't
Mm.
terrible, but like the
Mm-hmm.
next volume, the only one that I can find is like 18,
Wow.
which seems like a lot, right? But that's not,
Yes.
I'm sure it's also $19 or sorry, $12,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just because I don't know where they are. Like they're hard to find. They're like out of print or something. I don't know.
Right.
But if you think about it, if there's 11 or 12 volumes of this, that's like over $100 just to get. I don't even know if it's done.
That's true. Going back to Olga T,
Mhm.
like you said, the both of us read her book Flights and Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, and then we're getting ready to read the books of Jacob. So I'm hoping that you and I can have another conversation, another episode where we focus on our reading challenge 12 Women, 12 Countries, and
Mhm.
talk about our experience reading these three works by Olga. I,
Yeah.
I have reserved my feelings about the other two books from you because we're going to talk about it later. It's killing me, by the way. Just understand that. Understand that these thoughts that I'm holding back to save for a future show is killing me because we talk about books so much on a
All
regular
day
daily
long.
basis. Like it's
All
so
day long.
hard for me. It's so hard for me. But I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I like it because it's going to be a big chunk of time that I'm
Well,
investing into this book.
I'm dying to know where I land with it. After reading those other two works by her, like I'm really interested to see where this book falls for me.
Yeah, I definitely dig her writing. There's a lot of positivity here, but I don't know that it's something that I will always love everything she writes. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So we're gonna see.
yeah,
We're gonna see because we've only read two, and they were vastly different. So
right. And
I
she's
feel
got more
like,
backlist that we haven't
yeah,
read.
and I wonder how different all those are. So yeah.
Right,
Anyway,
right.
so is the book space in the booksternet elitist?
That's an interesting question
So,
because I'm okay. Continue your thought or your question.
well, because what I was going to say, one of the really big topics, like topics that got discussed a lot, was the idea of reading diversely, like I said, and whether or
Mm-hmm.
not the algorithms um, reward you for that. And sort of unanimously, the response was no, they don't. Um, if you talk about when you talk about like books that could be similar to like a Sarah J. Maas.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that poor Sarah J. Maas. She's constantly being used as like the figurehead of these things. But like Sarah J. Maas, they're gonna
Yeah.
get all the attention. Um, but when you go over to maybe say, I'm just gonna pick a random book, Rage of Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're getting less viewership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And say you then go to a translated work.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're getting even less viewership.
Yes.
So it doesn't seem like the systems we have in place right now are helping to promote any sort of diversity at all. They are helping to keep the same old going, which is usually predominantly male or like white female.
This is a tricky one, right? Because all right, so this young girl that I follow, Emmy, I really enjoy her channel.
Mm-hmm.
She
She's
has
adorable. I like her.
she's so sweet, but also she's like I could be her mother. but a lot of what she reads, I would
Okay,
read
there are a lot
too.
of people on booktube that like I could be their mother. So
I'm just saying, like, I could be her mom, but a lot of what she reads, I would read too. She reads pretty diversely, I think.
hmm
And she reads a lot of backlist stuff that I have an interest
hmm
in reading as well. And if I'm not mistaken, she has something like, I don't know, I'm trying to pull her up really quickly. She has 260,000 subscribers.
I
And
think
ta- she is not talking about mainstream stuff, but I'm wondering, is it because she's like a university student and that's the appeal with her?
so. That's like the Jack Edwards effect, right? So like, so you have someone like Jack Edwards, who I think if he doesn't have a million, he at least has 500,000 subs, right?
Mhm.
And he reads all kinds of stuff, and
Mhm.
he does these
Is that the one that
very
just moved to Paris? That guy?
yeah, and he does all these very like and he's charming, he's fun to watch, but he started really much more as like a uni lifestyle vlogger,
Mhm.
content creator, how to do this at uni, how to do that at uni. And there's this group, I think, of like particularly British university students that have YouTube channels, or former university students that have YouTube
Mhm.
channels that also cross into the bookosphere, but aren't just bookosphere things. Like Sunbeam Jess is not just a booktuber, she's
Oh, I really
also
enjoy
and
her.
she's wonderful. And I think those people, because here's the other part of this conversation that came up, those people get views that have nothing to do with reading. So their views sort of are in line with their sub counts. And
Mm.
what people were saying on this discussion that was had about elitism, and these are all creators with a fairly decent sub count for what
Mhm.
was a very niche, you know, area. If you have 30 some odd thousand subs, but you're only getting like 1,000 views on a video,
Mhm.
that doesn't correlate. And that
Yeah.
actually hurts you in the algorithm. So when you do put out a video that is more in line with maybe what you like to read, that is outside of the mainstream things that the algorithm wants to promote, um, it doesn't help you grow, which then means it doesn't help to push your that narrative or that information out to other people. So you're not. I guess the real question is like, is there a way? How do you almost like cheat the algorithm to get different books in front of the eyes of viewers? That's
See,
my
I don't
question.
see, I don't think you can cheat the algorithm.
I don't think you can either. I don't even think we understand the algorithm. I asked that in the comments. I was like, does anybody even understand the YouTube algorithm? And they were like, yes. And I was like, well, then you're smart, because I don't think anybody really understands the YouTube algorithm because it
Right. Plus it's
changes
constantly
so
changing.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is where I think this Emmy is an outlier because all of her videos are about books and
hmm
other things as well. And she's got ridiculous number
But
of
it
views on her videos.
isn't Emmy also like a vlogger?
Yeah,
So I
which
feel
is
like there's
includes books.
yeah. So I feel like there's certain things that I want to say muddy, like that muddy the data
Mhm.
when you're looking at it. So like I think that vloggers get a certain so I think about like Morgan Long. So like Morgan Long is also a videographer. So she makes beautiful vlogs. They are gorgeous.
Mhm.
And she'll do like beautiful, stunningly visually stunning, the audio is stunning, everything is beautiful. Reads with me. So she'll just do an hour and it's just sounds and it's these beautiful images. She films things. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous around Portland. I love her. And that is like its own sphere. And like she talks about books and she'll read and she'll do these things. She'll go to Powell's and yada yada yada. But then there's people like Elliot Brooks, who's on this thing, right? So
Mhm.
she's a lot more of like a book reviewer.
Yes.
So and that's a different, it's almost like that's a different subset of viewership, and the algorithm is treating, this is my opinion, or what I've seen, it feels like the algorithm treats those things very differently, even though they might be both bookish. And I think
Yeah.
if you go into that like vloggy sphere, you
Mhm.
might there's a word,
Yeah.
um that might be able to get you to a bigger audience, if you're good at it and you're captivating,
Mhm.
yada yada. I'm not just saying just go make vlogs. I mean, who the hell knows? I
Yeah.
mean, I have no idea how the algorithm really works, but it just seems like that changes the dynamic a little than
I
just being
mean,
like a reviewer.
well, even if you are just a reviewer, that doesn't mean you're going to get more hits or whatever, because also I think when you're a reviewer, genre plays into how well you do. If you're a reviewer of fantasy and sci-fi, I do think you're going to get bigger hits than if you're a reviewer of, like, lit fic or contemporary fiction. Fantasy and sci-fi is so big.
Yes, and sort of no, I would
Mhm.
say, because I feel like if you have niched down to a genre and you stay in that genre, you can gain traction.
Like Books and
Um,
Bow.
and Eric Carl Anderson.
Mhm.
And but then you have like the guy that introduced to me who does all the grimdark, like
Oh,
that I
Slowly
think
Read.
is fantastic. This
Mhm.
fantastic, and like there are people that they're smaller, but they have a very dedicated fan base, and they have their sort of viewership is matching their sub counts. Like so, like
Mhm.
as their subs are growing, their views are growing. It makes sense. But anybody who's actually reading diversely in the sense that they're like reading from all different areas,
Yeah.
I feel like they're not. It's so hit and miss. So like, not that I have like a huge channel in any way, so I don't think the data is very good to use. But in general, almost like anecdotally, we can use
Mhm.
my analytics. The video that consistently does well is my vlog of Den of Vipers.
Which
Consistently,
I
there
gotta tell
are
you is so
views,
disturbing to me.
every day. Somebody is watching that thing,
It's disturbing.
and I have, I don't know, probably a couple hundred video, like maybe over 100 videos now, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
on the channel. So like, people aren't rewatching. I guess the point is like you're not going to rewatch a lot of our content in
Mhm.
Bookstagram. Um so like that stuff's kind of out. Do we have very seasonal content, right? So like we're
Mhm.
like our March TBR. Do I
Mhm.
want to see your March TBR from 2019? Maybe, but
I mean, listen,
I feel like it's a very complex little area of YouTube.
it is. And so, right, look, it depends what kind of reader you are, right? Like, I have gone years back into Russell, Ink and Paper blog on you
Mhm.
on BookTube. I have gone back. I've basically gone back to almost the beginning, and I've been watching his stuff. And yeah, I want to see what his monthly favorites were from 2009. Like, I want to see it because I'm interested in his reading tastes.
Yeah.
But if I don't have that interest there, I'm not going to go that far
Yeah.
back in someone's videos.
But I mean,
Same
I
thing with
think
Books and Bow. I would do the same thing. I'll go
yeah.
way back.
I think it's like a general, like to me, and I don't think that these videos get as much views as other videos. Like haul videos seem, everybody wants to see people buy stuff, and that was a big part of this discussion, was about the elitism and the capitalism and all of that that is in
I don't like
the
that
book
argument
space.
though. I
But
don't like
like
that argument.
that argument comes back. That's a cyclical like argument that comes back in the space. We always are debating this
I
thing,
know,
and
but I think that I think that there's an assumption that people are always buying new books. Like, we
and
haul a
that
lot of
was
books,
and that was a
but
big part of the discussion. We also get gifted a lot of books too, and
yeah,
like
but even if we didn't get gifted any, the amount of books that you and I haul paying cash out of our own pockets is astronomical. Like, the number is high, but it's
lately,
all thrifted.
lately, most of the books that I have bought lately in the last, like, since I got on Pango have been like negligible because I'm using the money that I've earned from selling
Mhm.
my other books. So
Right.
now that this has become like something that's sort of taken over my life,
Yeah.
I had to find, there was a necessity to find a way to afford this.
Mhm.
Um, and you don't also have to buy books. Like, there are libraries. There is
Yeah.
Kindle Unlimited. There are so many options. Like, yes, you have to pay for Kindle Unlimited, but guess what? It's unlimited. You can only have
Right.
so many in your little Kindle, but you just exchange them. Like, it's, you know, like, it's, there's so many
So
ways, and you have your Libby app. You have, there's so many ways to not have to be out there spending tons of money. But if you think about the people who are watching YouTube videos as a whole on YouTube, consumerism is huge. You have all these people that go out and they like think of like a Jeffree Star flashing all of his money, all of his, like, look at my Birkin vault and look at this and look at that.
mhm.
This is something that for some reason or other we are drawn to as people. We want to see your consumerism. We want to see you buy things that we can't necessarily afford. And
Mhm.
I think that still plays a role in the booktube space because people like to watch hauls. But interestingly, I think people like to watch unhauls
The
more.
unhauls are popular now. So what I'm hearing from a lot of booktubers on their videos is that their numbers
Cuz
are
the
higher on their
next
unhaul videos.
cuz the next highest videos in my analytics are like my two unhaul videos.
Mm, interesting. Now, I never watch unhaul videos. I only want to see the books you haul. Because in my mind, the unhauled books are the ones you didn't like. So why do I want to see those?
But I think it's the same reason why people like to watch rant videos. It's because you want, people secretly want like the tea. They want so like I think Reads with Cindy like kind of blew up when she blew up is because she like was good at ranting about books and people like that, and she did it well and articulately and it was engaging. Whether you like her or not, that's not the conversation. It's
Yeah.
people enjoy, it was entertaining. It and it wasn't something that everybody was doing. I think it's like why Jess blew up when Jess blew up. And now Jess has like a nice, comfortable viewership, and Jess
Mhm.
seems like a little bit freer since she moved out of just doing book community. But nobody was doing like a book community.
Mhm.
And that is content that you can watch over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's true.
And that people are going to dig back in because it's like gossipy stuff. It's like all of the commentary spill like tea spilling channels.
Right.
And plus, Jess is just funny. Like, she's
I
just like,
mean,
she's
see,
good and she's entertaining and she's articulate.
well,
And
that's the other thing. Let's not
it's not just like
act like
anybody who can
it's
do these things.
personality that has to
There's,
play a lot in this. Okay, so when I think about booktube, and we need to be honest about some of this stuff, right? Like your personality makes a big deal, but
mhm.
there's also like a certain look that people have that get them a lot of views and subscribers. Let's not act like that's not a
Oh,
thing
remember
as
when
well.
we joked about me doing like an experiment with a blonde wig and to see if
Yes,
I get more views?
yes, I think your stuff would shoot up so high. I mean, let's not,
But
pretend
like,
that's
I
not a
don't know
thing.
because like that the antithesis of that would be like a Jess, right? Jess is
Hmm.
not a white blonde girl.
No,
Like
but she's got hella. That's what I'm saying.
but
She's
she's
got
got
hella
hella
personality.
personality. She's articulate, she's smart,
Yeah,
she's funny, she's got a really cute dog. She did
yeah,
something different that was entertaining and was missing in the space and was valuable in the space. And
exactly.
did it have to be weekly? No. And I understand why she moved away from that because that's taxing. That's exhausting. And doing it monthly is great. And I love that doing it monthly has freed her up to explore
Hmm.
other areas of booktube. I love watching her vlogs and seeing her
Yeah,
be human. Now I also, we're friends and I talk to her and like, so maybe it's a different connection.
yeah,
But I think that she's a person and people like that. People want this parasocial relationship with people on social media. That is why you succeed because they
yeah.
feel like they get like you get each other. They like, there's something you're grasping onto.
Hmm. Yeah. That's
But I
true.
still think you're right. I still think that predominantly, if I was like a 20 something blonde chick,
If you were a 20-something blonde chick who had a really pretty house and you did a lot of, fun baking, and you also read majority of the popular books, your numbers would skew a lot differently. I'm
exactly.
I'm pretty secure in making that assumption.
I think that that's fair. I think that if I had like a white, beige, and gray house
Mhm.
with zero clutter and like, I
Mhm.
don't know, a labradoodle, like, and I just made cupcakes and read,
Yeah.
I don't know what,
Yeah.
then people would be like, oh, I love this.
Exactly. And you could skip making videos for like a whole year and nobody would unsubscribe.
Mhm.
And the moment you come back, they will still love you. Like I have watched this with my own eyes. So like I'm not making this up. Like I have watched this.
But the other side of this is like, how do you find the people that are like you? And by you, I don't mean like look like me. I mean like that are like me, the person that makes up Alyssa on YouTube, because the
Yeah.
algorithm's not going to help you. Like most of the people that I follow and actually watch all the time, like first of all, my YouTube algorithm is so screwed up because I fall asleep to ASMR, so I get a lot of ASMR recommended to me. I watch a
Yeah.
ton of anti MLM content, and a lot of times I fall asleep to that again. So it's just going while I'm sleeping. And I watch booktube while I'm awake, which is obviously a lot fewer hours because I don't have as much time to watch YouTube like purposefully,
Yeah.
right? So those things aren't getting recommended to me as much as the other two categories
Right.
because just hours watched whether I'm asleep or not. And I watch so many different kinds of people that I don't think it knows what to recommend me. So most of the time I have to actively seek out people
It's
and
funny.
then continue to actively seek them out to
Yeah.
get new videos because the algorithm is not showing them to me
I mean, I have to do that for the book stuff,
for
but
books, just for
for
books.
all the other things that I watch on YouTube, for whatever reason, the algorithm gets to write in
Hmm.
recommendations for me. It's only the category of literature where I have to seek out things on my own.
I think that the algorithm doesn't know how to process it because I think there's almost like too much variation in reading and booktube in terms of like buzzwords or keywords or whatever they're picking up on to fully, I don't know, curate a list for us that makes sense. Even I mean, I don't have enough people to that watch my stuff to do this. This is why I don't think that my analytics are the best um,
Mhm.
benchmark.
Yeah.
But when you have enough, you can see the people who sub to you, who else they sub,
Mhm.
and the people, like all four creators on that live, we're talking about how like it doesn't make sense. Like if you're watching me, why are you watching them? Like they're nothing like me. And I think that says a lot about what do booktubers viewers, what do they do? We don't necessarily all niche down, but the algorithm likes niching down.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. Like I don't care how many times I put into the YouTube search engine Black
Black
Booktube,
booktuber.
like it still will not recommend Black Booktubers to me. And
The
I'm
only
putting
time
this
it
in on a weekly basis.
the only time it recommended black booktubers to me was back in 2020 when it was like hip to watch Black booktube.
I can count on one hand how many
And that was
times
like
YouTube has recommended a Black Booktuber to me.
about a week period. And it wasn't like immediately after everything started to like everything was sort of part of the it was a couple weeks in, and then for about a week I kept getting recommended different
Mm,
essentially not white booktubers.
right.
And then it just petered out and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's strange. YouTube just wants to keep recommending non-Black booktubers to me, even though I'm
To
constantly putting it in
everybody.
the search engine.
Hmm.
So I haven't figured that out, but it's I don't know. They I think Google itself just has an issue in their algorithm as a whole. when it comes
Mhm.
to brown and black people.
Do you find that on Instagram, if you go into like any of the explore pages, do you ever do that and see what gets recommended to you?
I always go on my For You in the Explorer pages. I want to see what's in there, and it's stuff that I do not care about majority of the
So it's
time.
still not even better curated. So
There's some
Facebook's not
bookish
doing a
stuff
better
in
job
there.
even.
There's some bookish stuff in there, but it's like most of it is. It's like, why is this in here? But I feel like
I had a whole
anything you
slew
click
of time
on,
in Instagram. I had like a month where I don't know exactly where it was, if it was like Turkish or like Persian. It was like in
yeah,
that sort of that area of the
the
world,
world.
wedding dances.
Probably
Where that
because
I was
you
like,
watched
all
one
I was
time.
getting recommended.
Did
And
you
I
watch
was
a
like,
reel of one time?
maybe, but it
That's
was
all
like
it
a month
takes.
of this. And I was
That's all it
like, well, these are
takes.
cool. These are cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. But I was like, where did you get this information from?
You
That, like,
clicked on a video one time.
because what I'm putting into Instagram and what I'm clicking on Instagram, majority is not, I don't know, wedding dances of any sort.
Right. I do now, and I find myself in my Explorer, like
I
the
will say they
videos
were
that I
really
really don't
cool,
want to
and it
see,
was
I click not interested, so that it will stop showing me. And I have to do that a lot, like a lot.
I have to do that with a lot of the ads where I'm like, please stop.
Oh,
I
I do that
don't
too.
need to keep seeing this.
Yeah, I have to do that too. So yeah, I don't know. All right, what are these other arguments? I mean, I still don't really understand. I still don't understand why people get so upset about book calls, but whatever.
I think people just like to get upset about things. I honestly just think that strangers on the internet like to find fault. So like Heather was saying talking about some of the things that she's heard, like, because she doesn't haul a lot of books. She is like a family of five or something like that. That's not a part of her budget.
Mm-hmm.
She reads a lot of books. She still has a booktube, right? You know, and it does well. And like you'll get things like, so she's not even hauling stuff, but she'll get things like, how do you read so much? Why aren't you taking care of your kids? So it's like people, I think, just like, they feel like behind their keyboards they can say anything they like.
Yeah. Well,
There's
we know that to be true.
and there are people that just, I think, like to do this. And they're like, there's some freedom, I guess, they feel in being able to actually express their inner disgusting without having to feel sorry for it.
It's so weird. It's so weird. It's such an old argument, and it's like I really don't like any argument where somebody's trying to count my coins.
No,
You know
and
what
I
I
think
mean?
that's
Like,
bullshit.
you don't know how much money I make. You don't know what like you don't know my financial life. So do not comment
Pipe
on
down.
my financial life. You do not know what's going on over here. And I do
Pipe
not have to explain it to you. And I
down.
will not explain it to you.
No,
It's absolutely none of your business.
none. If I have all the money in the world and want to buy the books, if I have no money in the world and want to go into debt, none of your problem. It's
None
none of
of
your
your
business.
right. It always is just so hilarious to me, the things that people get upset over when watching other people that are online doing various things. It's like, why are you so bothered by this?
Well, of course, one of the things that comes up all the time is like we all have the ubiquitous wall of books, right? Which is not a you all, and I hate when people talk in absolutes. There's plenty of people that don't buy lots of books. There's plenty of people
Right.
that live off their Kindle and maybe have a handful of books because they really love them, but that's it.
Yeah.
Some of these books I have been collecting since I was a wee person
Yeah.
because this is what I do. So, like, I didn't go out yesterday and buy all these books. I'm 38 years old. I mean, I've had this Taming of the Shrew. First of all, it was my brother's probably since like, I don't know, 1993. Like,
But
it's on my
here's the
shelf.
thing.
But how many things are like this? And like, I don't think that we need to justify why we don't have a well of books or why we do have a well of books. It's none
I
of your
agree.
fucking business.
But also, even if you did just acquire every single book on your shelf
Still none of your
yesterday,
fucking business.
it's like that's your choice. That's your choice.
Do you go on, but like you really want to get on people for buying books when there are people buying like 30 Birkins? Like, these are books. Like, this is like a capsule of knowledge and like a journey and pages, and like this is not like wasteful consumerism, which I think is what the argument comes from. Is there's a lot of like wasteful, like, you're just, consumerism is bad for the environment, and there's that angle of it too.
Listen,
And I'm
and
like,
let me be very honest. I also don't give two shits if somebody buys 30 Birkins.
I don't care either. If you can buy them, good luck for you. Good.
You know what I
I don't
mean?
know how you
Maybe
use
you're
them all.
buying them for an investment. I don't know what your purpose of buying them is, whether it's for
I mean,
investment or pure joy. I'm just
they are an
saying I don't
investment.
care. They are an investment.
There's a return on that investment.
A lot of people buy very expensive things as like a financial backup plan in case some crap goes down.
Oh, I
So
can't. Do you not think that I still have my very expensive engagement ring?
right. So like I am not
That
here
is
to judge people's
my
purchasing
that is my
decisions.
if I run out of all the money in the world and everything goes to shit, I can at
Right.
least eat for a few weeks. Fund.
Exactly.
And there's plenty of people who do the same thing with other stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's where this is where I get annoyed with these blanket judgments about quote unquote capitalism. You do not know people's individuals' intent and
Mm-hmm.
purposes of making said financial decisions. And my thing is, why do you think it's your business?
Because
Anyway,
people on the internet think it's their fucking business.
what are these other arguments that were in this video? This was very interesting to me. I'm
Look
having a
how
good time.
angry you are. Look how angry you are. No, I mean, I think it was just like a discussion. Nobody was like, there were no like real answers. Everyone was just like, can everybody like stop trying to make absolutes out of all this shit? But I do
Yeah.
think that, you don't get rewarded, which is a terrible word, but it's probably the best way to like describe it, for reading however you want, or making whatever videos make you happy, or reading outside of the mainstream.
Because we're talking about like YouTube as a whole,
Yeah.
right? So the
Hmm.
algorithm is going to push content that most other people are also uploading. So if
Yeah.
like 30 people are uploading this one thing and then the two people over there are uploading something else, they're pushing the 30 over here.
Yeah.
Look, YouTube wants to get as many views on things as possible to get
So they
more
can get
money from
AdSense.
ads. So they're interested in what the mass are doing, not the few.
So I feel like that's the consumerism argument. It's not that I bought the books. The consumerism argument is what is Google doing with their lives, because
Google is a business. Google is trying to make money because they're a business.
they're the ones that are perpetuating consumerism, because they're the ones that are trying to maximize profits, and by their profits are in selling shit and getting people to buy shit through ads. It's not us. I'm not doing it. I don't care how you get a book. Just please
But I
don't pirate
mean,
it.
but here's the thing. They're a business. What are they supposed to do?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not like mad at them. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna keyboard warrior, can you yell at Google? Don't yell at me. Like, because I bought 20 books that I probably didn't buy all of them, and
Exactly.
some of them I bought for like 20 cents. Like, or I found in a
Exactly.
free library. Like, don't come for me. Go for Google for being a cog in the wheel that is capitalism. Don't like like, I don't know. It's ridiculous. But like, one of the other conversations, which I think is something that gets neglected a lot in uh bookish social media overall, is the global south,
Mm-hmm.
and how they're just like
That access is
forgotten
just
in a lot of the discussions that we have.
yeah.
And there isn't enough understanding of the privilege that you have being particularly an English speaking Northern Hemisphere
Yeah.
book reviewer. Because if you're in the US, UK, Australia, parts of Europe, you're getting access to things that
Yeah.
people in South America are not getting access to. I think India actually has an amazing reader community and writing community, but I don't know what their access is. I'm not familiar with that. But like, say you're in like, I don't know, Cambodia and you're an amazing you're like not amazing, you're like an
Yeah.
avid reader, you're not going to have the same access to things as someone in New Jersey. Like you don't. And
Right.
so when we have these conversations about things like pirating books, is it wrong? Yes. But is there a reason why it's happening? Also, yes. Because when you don't have access to stuff, you will find a way to get it.
But hang on. Hang on and see.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just
No,
saying
I'm not going
I
there.
understand why it's happening.
But what I'm saying is there's also an assumption that regular old US citizens are not the ones doing it.
That too.
See, these arguments are difficult because you just really don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know really who's doing what. So I think it's I don't think it's effective having these blanket arguments about a lot of these things because we don't really have the fine data points to back any of it up.
But do you think that success in bookish social media is elitist?
Why would it be elitist? This is where this particular argument I don't understand. Why would that be elitist?
The term elitist is I don't think it's a good term. I think it's very I think that bookish social media likes white gay men, young white women.
Yes.
And then there are some other outliers in between, mostly of other areas, mostly either out of like, I don't know what, luck, happenstance, semblance of diversity. I don't know. I'm not part of the machine, but predominantly the people who do really well are white gay men and young white girls. And I think if you're British, it's better.
Yeah, but where's it elitist though?
I don't think it's elitist. Yeah. I think there's things that might be a little elitist, and I think that's elitist in the way that a lot of things are elitist. Like certain people become incredibly successful with certain podcasts and things that we're not going to mention people so they don't come for us, but because they happen to have husbands and connections and things, and then they can take something that maybe the average Joe is trying to make and is slogging away at, and now they're starting, like we're starting here, they're starting up here because they have privileges, and that's perhaps how it's elitist. I think there was some discussion about looking down on other genres, like I only read classics, so you're not as good of a reader, and all of that.
Yeah.
Or like I read literary fiction, or like I only read like classic fantasy. Like things. Right. And I think that's like a natural issue that's going to arise in any sort of
because
thing
now we're just
like
talking
this.
About personality types.
Yeah,
and there's also they're just that way, not about just books, about everything. That's their personality type.
And you see it in a lot of things. You see it with foodies, you see it with wine people, you see it with alcohol snobs, with this, that, and the other
with
thing.
Fashion, with everything. Yeah.
There's always going to be those people that are like, well, you're just a plebe and you don't know.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know why that's my voice that I chose, but
I like
Chardonnay.
I like
Chardonnay.
Do more.
We'll name her Chardonnay.
Do more. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's like I definitely thought it was a very interesting discussion and brought up a bunch of different things. I think one of the things that really made me latch onto the discussion and maybe bring it to your attention was how much of the conversation was focused on reading diversely, and by that they kept referring to reading LGBTQ, reading POC and BIPOC. And it wasn't until someone in the comments, and after a while, somebody in the comments brought up translated works that then translated the work. So like it wasn't forefront, it wasn't at the forefront of anybody's just like arguments. And it's not that anybody disagreed with the argument. It was just it needed to be like ring a ding ding, remember? Translated works.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that people need to remember there is more to reading diversely than just being like, I read a black author.
Right, or a queer one.
Yeah, like look, I read The House in the Cerulean Sea. He's gay. You know,
Yeah.
like there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
It is really about opening yourself up to as many different books as possible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't, and let me be very specific. In my bookstagram timeline, I know that I had to specifically follow the hashtags translated literature, translated fiction to find more readers who really prioritized translated works.
Yeah.
And on booktube, I have to do the same thing. Like I have to put in like translated literature, translated fiction to find more people. Because even though like I am subscribed to and I watch every video by Books and Bow who basically focuses on translated works, YouTube is still not recommending me readers on booktube who talk about translated works. So
Yeah.
I'm also always seeking that out. But yeah, so in both places I had to seek that out because it wasn't amongst the people that I was already following.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. I don't. It almost seems like it's not very popular, or just not on people's radar.
I don't know if it's just I don't think that's not necessarily popular because I don't like that's like a weird word to sort of define in this
What I mean, like, it's
usage.
not a popular
But
thing to read translated works.
I don't think it's a popular thing to talk about on social media because I think there are plenty of people who, if when you start doing the digging, you realize how many people are reading translated works. And then let's not forget the fact that we are being very Anglo-centric right now. A lot of people read our English written books, not just US,
Yes.
but like English written books in other fucking languages, and
Yeah.
those are translated works. So
Yes.
this is not so we need to stop being so like us centric and actually open ourselves up to everything. And
Right.
I just wonder if reading is such a complex topic that it doesn't do well on the algorithm. Unless you are very niched down. So if you are not like if you are a romance reader and that is all you read, like I imagine somebody like April who predominantly reads romance, who predominantly reads a certain subset of romance.
Our April?
Our April,
Yes.
Books in April.
Yes.
She reads a very specific
dark romance
lane of romance.
Yeah, she's
Her
dark romance.
feeds
Yep.
are probably way more curated to her. I mean, I could be wrong, but are probably way more curated to her interests because she is so niched down in the majority of her interests. Whereas you and I are like all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
I don't think the algorithm knows what to send us. So that's how I end up with Turkish wedding dances because they're like, well, try this. Like,
well, also I think it's important to note that so I enjoy Instagram as a whole. I do not just follow bookish accounts. My Instagram is made up of books, food, travel, business, and home decor.
That's my personal. My books is mostly books.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've only had one
And
Instagram.
apparently, like Turkish wedding dances.
I decided when I was getting back into reading, there was that question: do I create a whole other account or just change my name on my? I just changed my name on my existing account. I
Hmm.
don't want another personal one.
Hmm.
That's too much. So those are the 5 core things that I follow and enjoy on Instagram.
What's interesting is I don't think that we're experiencing anything different in like how sort of befuddling the things that are recommended to us, and like mine is much more focused, and
Mm-hmm.
yours is than yours. But it seems like the algorithm's still confused.
Yes.
But what's interesting, so like on YouTube for the other two things I watch predominantly, ASMR and anti-MLM content, those algorithms don't seem to have a problem.
Yeah.
And they even have figured out for my ASMR to show me like bookish ASMR.
Oh. Okay.
But in the book stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta hunt for stuff. I
Yeah.
really have to actively, and I know I don't watch it as much, so it's not gonna show up as much in my feed. I have to like really go and be like, I want to see book stuff. And then but even then I have to be like, I don't want to see this. I'm gonna have to go through my subs and really like clean it out. That's me thing. But like you should know that like I predominantly watch, these
Exactly.
7 people. If you're gonna show me somebody new, show me somebody that's like one of these 7 people. Don't show me
This
some
is where they
random
can't get it
person.
right. This is where they can't get it right. Like YouTube continues to recommend people to me that like just did a book haul of like 60 YA books. You know, god darn well, YouTube, that is not my jam. Why are you
Yeah.
recommending this to me? You
Yeah.
see all the videos that I watch in the booktube, realm. You know. So give me that stuff. Or they recommend someone to me that's like a hardcore, Sergey Master Lee Bardugo fan. Why are you doing that, YouTube? Why? It makes no sense.
It really doesn't.
It makes no sense. So I guess I'm just gonna have to keep doing what I've been doing, and that is just going on my own little special hunt on BookTube to find what I want when it comes to the books itself.
Yeah. It's really a shame because there's so many wonderful creators out there that just
There
aren't
are.
getting attention, and they have followers, they have, people are paying, but like there's more people that could be looking at them and should be looking at them, and they're not because they're not blonde white chicks from the UK
Yeah.
or whatever it is, whatever the
Yeah.
booktuber du jour is or the
Right.
algorithm.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's it's an interesting place.
It is really it's I just think it's more complex than the algorithm can manage.
It may be. It may be. I mean, literature is an extremely broad topic,
Mhm.
and it has a million layers. A million layers. And I don't think the algorithm can pull all those layers back.
I don't think it can. I think it like breaks down. Like me
Yeah.
standing out in front of my wall of my books trying to pick something
Yeah.
to read. I'm like, and then I just
Yeah.
shut down.
So like you were talking about, so like Books and Bow recently hit 10,000 subscribers. Congratulations.
Woo-hoo.
And I think it's because they are so niche down, and
Mhm.
people that like what they read, they found one another, and they have
Yeah.
a very, very strong, active community. But like you were
Mhm.
saying, that's more likely to happen when you niche way down.
Yep. To find somebody that has like my exact reader or close to my reading tastes, it's way harder because my reading tastes are more complex than just
Mm-hmm.
like love grimdark fantasy.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with grimdark fantasy, but if that is what I predominantly read, it's way easier to find
Yes.
people who like what I'm reading than if I'm
Yes.
like, I like this and that and this and that, like, duh, 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 duh.
Mm-hmm. That's so
But
true.
let me just look at what I showed you in the beginning. I mean, I've got like a massive literary fiction and freaking manga. Like,
Right.
where is that intersection on YouTube? I don't know.
Yeah,
It
it's
exists. Like, it's not like we're freaks, but it's just YouTube doesn't know how to be like, here are your people.
yeah. 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 I don't think this is something that they're going to be able to really figure out honestly.
They can't because computers can't do everything. If
Yeah.
sci-fi has taught us anything, it is that robots and computers cannot do everything.
Well, also, the developers that are working on the algorithm most likely aren't readers.
Yeah.
So when
Or
you're
at least not readers in all areas.
yeah, or yeah, so when they're building this algorithm and they're thinking about things like that, they may not know what to really put in or to think about
Yeah.
to really sparse out the book channels.
Yeah. And I always like wonder if there's like a key to particularly YouTube. Because I don't know what the fuck Instagram is doing. Like every day it's a different thing over there. But like is there like a key to unlocking YouTube where it's like if you use just this right keyword, you click this right box, you do this right combination of things, it's
If
gonna like bump you up in the like like is there
I don't think it's about well, I think mostly YouTube is about have you created a channel that is one of the top performing topics? Have you created a financial literacy channel? Have you created a business channel? Have you
yeah.
created a gaming channel? Have you created what I said gaming business? I told her I was recording gaming, business, financial literacy. There's another tech.
Mhm.
Like you can almost
Fashion, makeup.
fashion, you can almost be certain that with those categories, you're going to do fairly well if you are posting consistently. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And you don't give up.
And there's
You just
also
stay consistent.
a quality level. So like when you started YouTube years ago, everybody had sort of budget quality. And
Mhm.
now you're like taking on these juggernauts that have like very high production value. Even when
Mhm.
it's low production value, a lot of people have very high low production value.
Mhm.
And you're really like punching you're like trying to punch up when you come into the sphere. So if you don't find either dumb luck or your audience or like a little special pocket of whatever your thing is, like you're
Yeah.
really fighting.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's really hard. It's really hard if you are coming in and your channel is not one of the popular topics. And then on
Mhm.
top of that, your production quality is on a normal person's scale.
I think that's where people should be getting on up people's buttholes is about how much money they spend on production because I can buy all the books I want, but you know what I can't buy is more cameras and better lighting.
Yeah,
So
but
go away. We're doing the best we can and listen to what we're saying.
yeah, that's a tricky one too, though. I don't know. I don't know. I just think YouTube is going to push the most popular topics that are already performing well on YouTube. That's just it.
I mean, I agree. I think that's why like the Jack Edwards do so well is because they're not specifically booktubers. They are lifestyle vloggers that have added reading to their niche. So it's like they have this
Mm-hmm.
very well established fan base that
Yeah,
they are already being sort of, I don't know, pseudo intellectual in reading. And now
yeah,
they're just kind of now that they've built it, they can come in and add this layer. It's like a layer on top of something they've already built. But I think if
right.
someone like Jack Edwards was trying to do that today, specifically what he's doing right now from scratch without any other fan base or without any other work behind it, I think it would be very different. He might still end up being very successful. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's very entertaining. He's quips. He's funny. His cuts are good. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, when he moves into the book sphere, he's coming from a different angle. Sunbeam Jess is kind of coming from a different angle. Like if it was me, I'd have to like become something else to go over there. Does that make sense?
Here's the other thing I think that is important to note. A lot of these people have been on YouTube for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really they can branch off and add anything or do anything differently and still maintain they've been on a very long time. They've already built the base.
Yeah.
And so if you came on YouTube 6-7 years ago, it's very different than coming on YouTube right now in 2022.
2 years ago. Yeah.
So when we look at somebody that has like, 500,000 subscribers, but they've been on 6 years, it's like,
yeah.
Yeah. They spent a long time uploading videos week after week after, and building that community.
Yeah. I mean, it is a labor of love. I mean, I don't do any of this for any reason other than I just enjoy it. I actually like vlogging for you guys. I'm glad I'm vlogging again. I really enjoy that. I find it better than sit down videos. I just the personal pan pizza has been very difficult for me. I wonder why. And like it was very hard for me to vlog because like what was I going to show you? Just me crying? Like what do you want to like I'm hoping to become a normal human again.
Right.
But I don't do it because I literally don't get anything out of it. But I enjoy it, and for like the 5 people that actually really watch, I appreciate them, and I don't know. It's lovely. I love seeing the people that have done my 75 hard challenge and are like, you really do read more books. Like, I feel better. Like, that's fun. I mean, I failed my own fucking 75 hard challenge because I tried to do it in like the 4th wave, 3rd wave, whatever wave we're on.
Yeah.
Like, and I couldn't get there because I just was like, I need to sleep.
Right.
Yeah. But it's really lovely building a community of like maybe not minded, but like interested people. Like we have similar interests. We are, you have people that are kind to each other, no matter how big or how small it is. It's really nice. This world can be very lonely. Like it's nice to have people.
Yeah. So overall, this video you're referring to, I think this word they're using is not the right one.
Yeah. I think the things they're discussing are very interesting and important. I think it's a very good conversation to have and to keep having. But I don't know about the elitism word.
Yeah, that's the word. I don't know how fitting that is really.
I think it's more complex than that word. I think that word makes it seem like you just have to be rich.
Right. It gives me a have and have nots feeling, but the arguments you're making don't really always fit in the have and have nots subcategory. But I'm also not sure. I'm not sure what the right word is. And also, some of these topics we just need to like stop talking about. Like I just really I don't want to hear people talking about book hauls anymore. It's just like let people do what they're going to do. You know.
A lot of the times, I mean, I don't know. Like, do the people who comment think that it's like showing off or something? Because a lot of the times we just want to show each other. I mean, we do it to each other in our own private group chats. We're excited. We are people who read and are also book collectors want to show other people who read and are book collectors the things that they found, especially if they've thrifted them.
Well, if you're on social media, what are you supposed to do? Isn't it the
Look,
point?
yeah, like look at this fantastic find. Like I'm psyched that I found Lauren Olympus for not a lot of money. Like that's fantastic. I want to tell you that.
But even if you bought it at full price, that doesn't matter.
No,
That's
it doesn't.
right. But if you're on social media to talk about books,
Mm-hmm.
don't you think a book haul is a part of that conversation? Like, this is where I'm getting like, you all are just fussing just to be fussing. If you're on social media to talk about a thing, then you're going to show all the things about that one big thing.
Yeah, and they can
So,
like there are plenty of people that do library hauls, and there's still book hauls. There's plenty of people who do like all kinds of different versions of a haul that aren't like I went to Barnes and Noble and spent almost 30. Well, we read a lot of adult books, so like almost $30 a book,
right,
and I
right.
came home with 100 of them. And also, we are blessed to get free books from publishers. And a lot of the
Exactly.
times, the only way that I can get those books in front of people's eyes so that at least I'm fulfilling a part of the obligation that I feel I have towards the publisher
Yep.
is to do a book haul and say, thank you, Tor, for sending me this. This is beautiful. This is the book. Sounds really great. It's out at this time. And that gets maybe I don't read it forever. Maybe I never read it. But maybe there's someone on the other end of that that goes, "Oh my god, that sounds fantastic." And then they go buy the book or they get it from the library. They borrow it from here or there or whatever. They read it on script. I don't care how you read.
Yeah.
That is all part of this
The social
unspoken
media game.
agreement that
Yeah.
we have being book influencers, because that's what we are. Our job is not just to read and talk about it. There is another layer of that. That is to we have a consumer piece. Like we want to promote books for that are we like so that authors that wrote the books we like make
Mhm.
money.
Right. I have seen people say like, "Oh, I get so tired of bookstagrammer showing all these arcs. It just seems like they're just showing off." I've seen those comments before.
I've seen them too, and like it's like those are people that haven't figured out how to ask for an arc. Because I didn't know how to ask for an arc for a really long time, and somebody had to tell me, and then I've told other people. And there's a lot of like, not necessarily gatekeeping. I guess there is some gatekeeping in this, but like just not like freely opening the gate for like for people like where they're
Mhm.
not like I don't know how to get brand deals.
Right. Right.
The only time I've done a paid for post was because somebody asked me.
Right.
I have never figured out how best to navigate that,
Yeah.
but it's not that I can't figure it out. It's that it's not just like information falling from the sky. And there
Right.
is also like ego stuff involved with it. Like, I don't think that at the size of my Instagram platform or the very small size of my YouTube channel that I have clout enough to be like,
You do.
yes, I
You
do.
do.
Obviously, I do because I do work with people, but there is this part where you're like, when you're not, there is an ego involved in this where you feel like, oh, maybe I'm just not big enough. So I can't ask for an arc. Yes, you can because they want, publishers are way more free and easy with arcs than you think they are. And then
Mhm.
especially if you develop a relationship with them. Like I have a wonderful relationship with Tor. I don't know how I ended up starting that relationship. I mean, I know how
Yeah.
I did. I like emailed them, but like I'm so grateful that they emailed me back and that
Yeah.
we have been developing this relationship because I obviously love them. And the people that genuinely promote your product are better at promoting your product because the people watching it know that
Yep.
you are genuinely doing it.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Because if we got
Mm.
paid for all the times that we talked about the profits,
Oh my gosh. Man. Yeah. Maybe I'd have me a Birkin. See how I brought that right back around?
wouldn't even know what to do with the Birkin. Yeah,
Wear
I
it,
think it's,
darling.
I don't know where. I don't go anywhere. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a very interesting conversation. I think that I always find YouTube in particular, but all the social media algorithms very fascinating because there is this like element of dumb luck that you feel like they have, but there isn't. A lot of people, like you said, have been doing this for years. There are people that have been doing this so long that they're not even a part of like they're grandfathered into monetization because they are
Mm-hmm.
before all the monetization rules. And that
Yeah.
really changes the game
Mm-hmm.
because like I am struggling to get to 1,000 subs. But even if I get to 1,000 subs, which I will get to probably before I meet the other criteria of having monetization.
Right.
Like it's
Right.
not like you just get to one benchmark. They don't want to give up their AdSense money.
Exactly.
It's the point. YouTube is not trying to pay you. Like YouTube is trying to pay YouTube. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's hoops now. It's like now that they are an actual legitimate thing. Like, no, you really got to work for it, baby. Like,
Listen,
and then I'll give you that one nickel that you earned on video.
I have toyed, not recently, but like in the beginning, I toyed with the idea of having a channel, and I just can't do it because I just can't be that consistent in filming video. I have too much going on in my house. It's just, it's too much. And you know, you need quiet. You need quiet, and it's just a lot going on, and I just can't commit to having a dedicated schedule. Like it's hard enough recording this podcast, but at least this is one day where we do like 3 or 4 episodes.
But
and so I can tell anyone in my house to get out or just shut up. But like
doing this podcast has helped me be more consistent with my YouTube because we put it out on my channel, because that's where we had a channel and any viewership at all, as small as it was, that's where we had viewership. And I know that every Monday I'm going to have a video.
Yeah.
So it feels like I've already completed part of my tasks for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So like every Monday I have one video. So even if I can only get out a second video, that's 2 videos a week, which is great.
Yeah.
So if I get out a third video, whoo!
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on fire.
Right. Right. Wow.
But it's a lot of work. It takes hours.
Yes,
especially if you're vlogging. It takes hours to vlog. It takes hours to edit it. It takes time to even just get it from there to YouTube. Like,
mm-hmm.
And then heaven
my
forbid,
life is not interesting enough to vlog.
Heaven forbid something is wrong, because I watch once I get it up to YouTube, I watch it all over again.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust watching it in between, because I'm like, what if YouTube fucks something up? What if that transfer fucks up? So I want to watch the final transfer product. And then I'm like, God damn it. This happened the other day. I was like, one of the files for some of the music, something happened. Somehow it got unlinked while it was coming out of Final Cut. So then I had to like go back, put it back in, re-export, re-upload. That takes hours.
Yes. Yeah. See,
it's like doing laundry. I mean, it's not like I have to sit there and stare at it. Like, you know, you do your laundry, you walk away, but it's all day. Like
exactly. And see, all of what you're saying, I do not have time to do realistically. And so that's why I was like, okay, yep, a channel's not for me.
I mean,
that's why my focus is the podcast. That's what I can do.
It's why when people get really big, they get people to edit their videos for them, because
and film for them.
It's really like when you really start to need to churn out a ton of content, you just can't do all the things.
Yep, so true.
But almost every channel, unless you start with a manager or you're being paid or somehow you start that like bump up to a next level, there's a piece where you are doing everything.
Right.
So those people that succeed, like, I don't want to throw shade on anybody that's succeeding. That's not the point of any of this, because at some point you were like a me doing everything and you worked hard. I'm sure there are plenty of people that did not work hard to get there, but like at some point, everybody who was a successful person or a name that you know on YouTube, the majority of them were once just like a person in their room editing videos and filming
Right.
things. And that is sort of the beauty of YouTube, but it's also something to like not forget. It's like this is this is a passion project
Yeah, that's true.
that
Mm.
hopefully one day pays your bills, but usually doesn't.
Yeah, you all can have it. I'm just going to continue being a viewer. That's where I live, in the viewership portion of the YouTube world. So I'm happy living there. Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Well, yeah, that's a very long-winded thing. I'm very tired.
I
That
am
that
very
one glass
tired
of
too.
wine pitched me over into exhaustion.
I've got to go do things with Caleb because the evening is going by really quickly. It's already almost
I
six
know it's
thirty. How did that
6:30
happen? How did that happen?
because we've been talking a
Woo.
lot. So I'm gonna give mine, and this came up on the chat on that live stream. So I'm gonna recommend The Conductors by Nicole Glover because more people do need to read this, and this is something that came up in the chat that somebody was like, somebody more people need to read this, and I was like, yeah, they do because this book is fantastic. I still need to read the next book, The Undertakers,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want to read diversely, if you like mystery, if you like, I don't know, books by Black authors, if you like a little bit of magical realism, this book is fantastic. Um, this is a murder mystery set in the aftermath of the Civil War. So Hetty Rhodes and her husband Benji are conductors on the Underground Railroad, ferrying dozens of slaves to freedom with daring, cunning, and magic that draws its power from the constellations, which I think is super cool. With the war over, those skills find a new purpose as Hetty and Benji solve mysteries and murders that white authorities would otherwise ignore. In the heart of Philadelphia's 7th Ward, everyone knows that when there's a strange death or magical curses are causing trouble, Hetty and Benji are the ones who can solve the case. But when an old friend is murdered, their investigation stirs up a wasp's nest of intrigue, lies, and long buried secrets, and a mystery unlike anything they've handled before. With a clever, cold blooded killer on the prowl, Hetty and Benji, testing their magic and placing their lives at risk, will discover how little they really know about their neighbors and themselves. This book, so one of the things that came up was like how this book was everywhere as like an anticipated read when it came out, and then nobody
Mm-hmm.
talks about it ever again. This book was so good and
Yeah.
needs more time. I think the magic system is interesting. It's not like a really hard magic system, like so it's more like I don't know. It's a softer magic system, but
Yeah.
it's good. It's more about your characters. It's more about Hetty and Benji. It's more about the mysteries and then the history that gets told to you through the
Interesting.
solving of this mystery. And I love it. And I do need to get my butt into The Undertakers.
I feel like I have The Conductors as an e-arc, which is why I haven't read it. You know
Probably.
how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I am going to recommend The Rib King by.
Oh, you did love that book.
I don't know how to say her first name.
What is it?
Anyway, The Rib King.
Lady?
I don't know.
I'm gonna
Cover
think it's Lady.
maybe. So let me read the flap. Okay. For 15 years, August has worked for the Barclays, a well-to-do white family in a Midwestern city who plucked him from an orphan asylum and offered him a job. A child survivor of a racist massacre in the South, the groundskeeper is part of the household's all-black staff, along with Miss Mamie, the talented cook, young new maid Jenny Williams, and 3 kitchen apprentices, the last orphan boys Mr. Barclay has taken into quote-unquote civilize as he did August. But the Barclays' fortune have fallen and their money is almost gone. When a prospective business associate proposes selling Miss Mamie's delicious meat sauce to local markets, a cash-strapped Mr. Barclay agrees. Under the brand name The Rib King, the sauce is advertised with a caricature of a broadly grinning August Sitwell wearing a jewel-encrusted crown on the label. Yet neither Miss Mamie nor August will see a dime from that enterprise. During the promotional tours to sell the sauce, the Rib King displays increasingly erratic behavior that suggests deeper motivations fueled by vengeance. The rest of the former staff, having witnessed Mr. Sitwell's transformation, finds themselves implicated in the crimes of the Rib King and are forced to contend with the consequences. This book was fantastic.
I know you loved that book.
it was really, really good because, you've got a little bit of mystery involved here. You've got people trying to, make their way into owning their own business, trying to get under the grasp of this Barclay family. You've got, racism, class privilege, just exploitation. The whole nine is in this book, and it was a really solid read. It was is this a debut? This came out last year, I think.
If it was good, it's probably a debut because I feel like that's the way it's been recently.
It came out last year, but like it really was a good book. And so I'm hoping that when we're out thrifting next month that I run across it because I would love to own my own copy. This has got to go back to the library soon. And I think she just came out with a short story collection, if I'm not mistaken. I'm always leery about short stories, but I may get it from the library at some point and read it. But The Rip King was fantastic.
I feel like the theme from 2021 was that the debuts were slapping. They were so good. And the YA books, especially in fantasy, were just underwhelming.
Yes, I kept hearing that. Okay, yes. So The Rip King came out January 19th, 2021.
Seems fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's all we got, right? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this, though. Like, how do you feel the space really is? Is it? I guess, is it dominated by certain people? Like, it can I don't know. Like, are there just certain people that have a chokehold on the book space, and the rest of us are just going to be where we are?
Yeah, all interesting questions.
I don't know. We have no answers. We only speculate. That's what we do on this podcast.
That's it.
Also, zero shade to anybody we talked about on this as examples. It's just examples on.
Yeah, we had no shade. We're just giving you stats on their accounts.
Since we were talking about people who like to keyboard warrior or make nasty comments, I just wanted to put that disclaimer in at the end.
To the keyboard warriors, settle down.
I'll send Naomi after you. I'm scared of conflict, but Naomi is not.
Well, I'm not, but also I don't argue with people on the internet.
Yeah.
So
it's not worth it.
If you come at me on the internet, I will happily ignore you because I do not have the time nor the energy. So just know that. Don't expect a comment from me because I'm too old for that shit.
I'm the person that if you knock on my door and I don't expect you to be there, I hide. So that's how I am.
I know how some of y'all like to tussle.
I don't tussle.
I will not tussle with you on the internet. I'm too old for that. I'm sorry.
Naomi, it took me like 2 weeks to follow up with my own accountant because she hadn't confirmed that she received my tax documents because I was scared.
Different.
I was scared that I might sound too pushy.
Oh, I am only
and not even like where is my tax return? Not like, where is my tax return? Like, that's fine. You have weeks. I understand you're busy. Just, you want to make sure that you got the stuff you need.
Yeah.
But anyway, she did, and we're good, and we're fine. I'll file it soon.
Anyway, tap in, folks. Let us know how you feel about this conversation we had today. We would love to hear your thoughts.
We're going to have a chatty couple episodes coming up, so I hope you guys enjoy all the chat
happening in the publishing and bookish space, and it's been fun to kind of talk about it all.
Yeah, and all these lives, I think that these lives that people are having right now, particularly in the last 2 months, have been really interesting to watch come up. There's been a lot of discussion about all kinds of stuff, so it's interesting. I like that everyone's talking about stuff. So
I love it. Yeah. All right, we're out of here. We got stuff to do. It's Sunday. We got to get prepped for the work week. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Bye.